If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply felt discouraged or even defeated, if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then this podcast is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa.
Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Christine McKay, business negotiation strategist. Christine McKay, author of Why Not Ask? A Conversation About Getting More, teaches Ivy League negotiation skills to small and mid-sized companies and negotiates on their behalf with many of the Fortune 500. Oh, wow. If you get in a room, woo, I bet that's a sight to see. Christine launched Venn Negotiation to close the gap in David and Goliath deals, showing small business execs where they're leaving value on the table. With 25 years of experience, both international and domestic, Christine improves profitability and operational effectiveness through strategic contract integration. Welcome, Christine.
Hello, how are you? It's so good to see you.
Woo! We were just talking that it's been a year. And
yeah, it's crazy.
Wow, time flies. And a lot's happened in that year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just curious, so if someone hires you, like a small business or company hires you, will you actually negotiate on their behalf, or do you prefer to empower them and teach them yourself?
So we do both. So we find that there's a certain population of people who are simply, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to hire you guys to go do it. So yeah. we'll do that. I prefer to teach somebody how to fish so that they can.
That's awesome.
So they can apply it elsewhere. And we teach programs as well to help people improve their negotiation skills. So it's a combination of both things.
Oh, that's great. Wow. How powerful. I'm sure it's just a matter of time when people are like fighting over you. And then it's like the same negotiation. Who's going to get Christine? That would be awesome. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about your journey and your story. And I know originally, your origins, you've been through a lot. And then you went to Harvard Business School. So what was your journey? And what was that moment when you decided that you wanted a change in your life and that success was for you?
So I'd love to say that there was one point in time when that happened, but it's I keep learning lessons as I go, and so there are some key points in my life. But I was born and raised in a ranching and farming community in north central Montana, in the middle of pretty much nowhere, and grew up in a town of 450 people. And my dad was the ranch foreman. My mom was a ranch cook. And I used to ring the dinner bell so the cowboys could come in from the bunkhouse to eat dinner. So for those who are above a certain age, you will recognize the Bonanza reference, but I lived a very Bonanza life in my early youth. And I was a really great student, and I was in honor society. I was a beauty queen. I competed in public speaking. I did all these amazing things.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then when I left home, my home life was not amazing. And when I left home, I, kind of the train went off the tracks, so to speak. Everything kind of went off the rails.
Can I just ask, did you have siblings growing up?
I did. I do. I have one sibling, and he's 1 year and 2 days younger than I am. So not quite Irish twins, but
Yeah.
so we were pretty close growing up. So and when you live on a big farm and your closest neighbor is, with kids is 10 to 15 miles away, you just spend a lot of time with your siblings playing. So but when I turned 19, everything just kind of came unraveled. And I discovered that I was pregnant, and I had just lost my job. And so I got evicted from the trailer I was living in, and I started living in the back of my 1972 Chrysler Newport.
And you were pregnant, so you
and I
didn't
was
have any
pregnant.
kids yet. Okay.
I did not have kids. At the time I was pregnant. And so I was homeless. I was part of what in the United States we call the hidden homeless. So when I could, I would surf from one sofa to the next. I did not have health care. You could not get food stamps. I couldn't get food stamps because I didn't have an address. And so
Oh gosh, that's awful. See, I didn't even know that about.
Yeah.
I
actually live in Los Angeles near Skid Row, and homelessness is an expensive proposition, which that's a different conversation, but
but it's an interesting and important conversation.
It is. And, I walk out of my building and, I have a stark reminder of where I could have ended up. And, I met a guy that I thought I needed to be rescued. My mental state was clearly I wasn't capable of making good decisions for myself. So let's try abdicating that and giving that decision right to another person. And he happily took on that role. But when I decided I wanted it back, he wasn't so excited about giving it to me.
So you married him and he had a home?
No, he didn't. He was, he had his own issues, and but we kind of moved from on,
and we were griping together and crying, in the traditional Wall Street way, right? Just trying to be tough through it. And then at the end, right before I hung up, he said, "Oh, I love your stuff on LinkedIn about wisdom and all of this." And he's the last guy I would think would say something like that. So I encourage you and your listeners and folks who pay attention to your podcast to have some courage, right? To bring that wisdom skill of courage, not too much, right? Just like a courage to do a challenging hike is good, but a courage to do a hike that's too challenging for you now flips you into danger. So I don't know that I would advise my colleagues to start, chanting, at staff meetings or there's some balance, but I think there's a lot of room for courage and frankly, people are just looking for more. Everybody, everywhere in every work, whether with me here in San Francisco, where it's ultra woke, or if you're in the Midwest, or I have clients in China and in Japan, in Japan where the culture, is traditionally has been even stricter than the corporate culture in the US. People are really looking to connect with each other and connect with the greater purpose and find a greater purpose. So my invitation to your listeners would be to have some courage, to bring in these wisdom skills of courage, and also count on the fact that there's reciprocity.
Yes.
Right? Reciprocity is one of the beautiful wisdom skills from ancient times. It's how all of nature is organized. And count on the fact that if you lead with trust, and if you lead with respect, and if you lead with some courage to open up and be vulnerable, there's a huge chance it will come back. Not every time, but on balance, you'll be better off showing some courage to open up more at work.
I love that. I recently did a meditation. It was a shamanic journey on finding your animal totem for the month of June. And the animal that came to me was a mountain lion. And the message was just what you're saying. have courage. So I just love that. But you're right. You're not going to expect all these execs to be chanting in the boardroom, but maybe they'll chant before or tell everybody take a deep breath, so maybe there's simple ways they could integrate mindfulness or spirituality in what they're doing and create that balance or create that environment, like you're saying, to feel free to be vulnerable or ask for help if they feel like something is too challenging or collaborate with something.
Absolutely. And you know what? Some corporate cultures support that, others don't. There are some corporate cultures I know with working with so many different clients where it's really, a lot of backstabbing and everybody hates everybody. And it's the kind of the incentive system, the financial economic incentive system is set up that it's win-lose rather than win-win. And, I run a little investment bank now. And I started 1 year ago. It was acquired by a huge bank called Houlihan Lokey, is $8 billion bank. And we were inside that firm. And I always thought, when you run a small firm, it's easier to manage a culture. But in a big firm, Wall Street investment bank, it's going to be backstabbing. I was completely wrong. It's a huge company, several thousand people. I mean, we spent almost 4 years there. Just super nice folks on the way in, right? When they're supposed to be nice, and then also being there for 4 years. So that's, annual reviews and performance reviews and all this. And then
so
on the way out,
consistent.
we left in a good way. And a lot of people talk about corporations in a particular way, and absolutely there are some corporate cultures that are toxic. But also, that's a good question for your listeners to ask themselves, should I really be investing my time here? Like, how wise is it to be investing my time? I'm not suggesting they just pick up and leave.
Yeah, we're not saying you quit right away, but really look inside and see if this is the right place for you. I get what you're saying. And that's what you're talking about, courage.
Yeah, having courage there, but, courage it's often misunderstood. People think it's just like, I'm going to go get it and all this. But before courage comes reflection. That's another ancient wisdom skill. It's to really sit and think about what's really going on at this company. Why am I really at this job? Or I have my own startup, whatever it is. Is this really the best use of my time? Where is the best use of my time? And if you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business and maybe there's 3 or 4 of you, who's the 5th person you need to hire right now? Is it administrative assistant? Is it a salesperson? Is it a new CEO? Maybe you're not maybe you're the founder, but not the CEO. I've done this in my companies, a number of times where at some point the machine of running the company becomes so big that you need a person to just be the CEO to run the machine, to run the company. Because for me as an entrepreneur and founder, that's, it stops being fun. When I still want to be involved, I still want to do all of these different things. And it worked several times where I brought in a CEO. Once I brought in a CEO who ended up firing me. Were
you okay with that? You're smiling.
But, I wasn't smiling at the time.
Yeah.
But you know what? You learn. It's, he ended up doing me a huge favor. Because I went into, I used to be in medical devices. Yeah. And in medical devices, you have the FDA and everything takes 10 years and all of this. And then it pushed me to go into investment banking, which fits really well with my undiagnosed ADHD, because every day there's a different project. Every day there's a new shiny object, right? And when you're building a medical device, I built brain medical devices to measure brain waves. Every day you're just doing that for 10 years. And reflection is a tool that I didn't have at the time. Had I had it, I would have figured this out on my own. So it's not just about knowing the concept of reflection, but it's also the practice of reflection. And for some people, it's meditation. For other people, it's getting healing work done, like body work, which is really important. For me, that's the time for reflection. That's the best time for reflection. A simple sitting down meditation for me is really hard. But being in a session with a therapist and a person that's, doing real body work, that's when, for me, is the time to reflect. So it's about finding what is it for you, and if you need courage to make a decision, maybe before that step of just being rah, have some reflection and say, who am I? What I really want? What would really support me? What kind of people do I want in my life? For some people, the lovey-dovey environment is that's not why they're there. They just want to go and win. They just want to block and tackle sell the house, build a project, sell the car, whatever it is. And they honestly, genuinely, it's not that they don't know that all the other stuff exists. They just don't want it. And if you find yourself that you're more of a lovey-dovey kind of type and you're in that environment, you're just in the wrong environment. It's not their fault. It's not your fault. Just move on. I say it as if it's easy. It's not easy.
Yeah. People might feel trapped because of the money or whatever reason. They have a family and supporting them, but there might be bigger things waiting for you on the other side, like for you.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have 4 kids. I never had 1 month without making money. You just have to do it. It doesn't matter how much money you make, how much money you put away. It just feels like living off of savings is like you're taking your kids' money, even though you earned it. Right. So every job transition, I made huge transitions in life, but it's always been very thoughtful, because I just, frankly, a lot of times, especially early in my career, I didn't have the luxury to just quit my job, take a year in India, and then come back. No, because there was a lot of noses and diapers that needed to be wiped.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet that you did the wiping and the diapers. I love that. My husband did too. So amazing. Not all husbands did. So you're a gem. Okay. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I wanted to explore a question, and I think I know the answer based on our conversation so far. Do you believe that it's possible to be conscious and have a successful business?
Absolutely. I actually think it's critical.
Oh, critical. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, look at business success and failure of different people and how correlated that business success and failure is to the quality of their life. Right. So look at, this, the whole thing about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
I can't. I'm sorry.
It's difficult, right? It's difficult. I mean, these 2 people, they're young and good looking and smart and extremely talented.
Yeah, they make a lot of money. Yeah,
make a lot of money, and you see the kind of misery that they had in that relationship. That it goes both ways. Now, who wins in court and who loses in court? That's a court battle. That's a different thing. But in the court of public opinion, did either of them win? Right? It's I don't know. They just brought a really dirty, ugly side out that we got to see. And I remember Johnny Depp. I don't know if you remember. There's an old movie called Benny and June, where he fell in love with this young woman who had a mental disability. And it's like such a beautiful movie. And I remember him from those days, right?
I'm going to have to watch
just
that.
To hear all of these ugly things that she did and he did and this and that and the other. It just tells you that you can be rich, famous, good looking, talented, and still have a miserable life. You marry a beautiful man, beautiful woman, and you have years of misery. And most of those don't get shown, right? We had now a viewing to somebody's life, with witnesses, and this is one of the reasons I kept going back to wisdoms and saying there's got to be more to life than business success. There's got to be more than this fighting at work and fighting at home. This is not. There's just no happiness here. There's no contentment. There's no point. And same thing with businesses. When I ran medical device companies, what was really nice about it is you produced a medical device that was used on a baby, right? I did hearing testing and brain testing for babies. Okay. And then I built another device that did anesthesia, right? When people are in surgery, so they don't have too much or too little anesthesia. And then we did one for soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan to tell if they have concussion or not.
That's the brain scope, right?
That was brain scope. Yeah, it's still out there. It's still running. And if you look at being in that kind of a business, while it wasn't for me because of my style and kind of the speed at which I'm used to operating, long term, it wasn't for me. But during the decade or so that I was in that business, you're doing a good thing. You're creating real value. Whether you made money or didn't make money, it almost became secondary. Maybe that's why I got fired from one of those companies.
You had too much heart.
Too much heart.
Okay. Speak the truth now. Yeah, exactly. You maybe weren't in alignment with their goals, or like vicious goals, maybe of taking over the world or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's right. That or just money, right? It's for me, it's balance. And being a conscious entrepreneur means you're in balance. And guess what? When you're a conscious entrepreneur, which is what I've been doing for the last, couple of, decade and a half, it's just nice to come to work. You enjoy the staff meeting because the people there, everybody's aligned. You know what you're doing. If something goes off track, we jump in together and solve it. And like that stress of running a business and all of this is removed, because what people give you, what employees give you, if you're running a conscious business, what people give you is what they call discretionary effort. So you can pay them by the hour to do the work, and they'll do the work, right? Anybody will do the work, right? That, there's a few leeches in the systems, but you can weed those out. But if you just pay $1, you get $1 worth of value. But what you can't get out of people is that discretionary effort, the effort that they care about the business. And that you can only get if you care about them, right? And if they see that you care about everybody in the company, and if they see that you care about what the company does and how the company does business, and it pays itself back in spades, not just in money and financial success, but more importantly, like the quality of life. Think about how much time you spend with people, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You're spending 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day with that team. Are you going to make it fun and easy and problem solving and let's get it done kind of an attitude? Or is it going to be a slog every day to come to your own company? I've had that before, right? You're coming to your own company, to your own staff meeting, like, oh my God, I can't survive another one of these, even though I'm running the meeting.
Oh my gosh. That's so interesting. I love how you're talking about that and making that connection. And, in my work in ergonomics in the past, I have actually found that connection as well. When a company cares about their employees, there's less injuries, there's less complaint about discomfort and stress and everything, less workers' comp claims filed. And so they pay less in insurance claims. Like there's this whole trickle down effect when executives and managers just care. It's really fascinating, and it makes a difference in every aspect.
Yeah. And it's, if you take care of your people, they'll take care of your customers. I mean, everybody says that. And the problem with a lot of the business talk these days, it's just that, it's talk. And that's one of the reasons I started.
That's so true.
I started Upend.
And then they're like at home on their Zoom and it's like, oh, now I can do whatever.
That's right. And it's about, one of the things we teach at Upend, it's called a new school of living wisdoms. And that's exactly the idea. We kind of all know the concepts. We know the concept of balance and the concept of courage and the concept of respect, the concept of reciprocity. But to actually turn those concepts, not just into action, but into skills. So you have a skill around courage. Think of, Serena Williams. You can get her, wake her up, surprise her at 4:00 in the morning, drag her out to the tennis court, give her, a tennis rack, and she'll start playing because she just has the skill. She doesn't need it. She can pull it up a moment's notice. Like that. She knows exactly what to do. She'll size her opponent in 2 minutes. She'll figure out what the court is like. She'll figure out the weather and the ball and everything else because she just has a lot of skill. And what I set out to do with Upend is we brought a number of really experienced teachers who've been doing this for 20, 30 years or more to do exactly this, to not just talk about the concepts. We call it affectionately, we say not to have spiritual entertainment. You go and you watch some super high quality produced video by some super well-known person that talk to you about gratitude. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, but it's spiritual entertainment, right? It's like somebody told me the other day, like doing yoga and you get off the mat and you kick the cat. What we do at
wow, that is harsh.
As a terrible example. Right?
No. But it's just, you're right. It's like you are in this space. Are you living this truth in your life? And I have to remind myself with my kids as well.
With kids, for sure. With my 4 kids. And what I learned over the years is what doesn't work is willpower. So I'll watch some video or read some book or go to some seminar. And I say, yeah, that's it. I'm going to have a gratitude practice. I'm going to do the gratitude thing. And I do it for like 3 days, 3.5 days, maybe 4 days, because the only thing I'm really bringing to it is willpower. And willpower is like, I commit, I'm going to do it. There's no question about it. I'm going to do it. But it turns out that it takes more than willpower. It takes skill building. And skill building is, that insight is just the first piece. But after that, you got to experience it in your body. You got to see how it actually works. You got to try it. You got to actually try to do the gratitude thing. And then your brain sees, okay, this time it worked. And then you do it again in gratitude. And, you're nice to somebody on the bus, but they're mean back to you. You say, okay, this time it didn't work. Okay, put it in a notebook rather than saying, oh, this gratitude thing doesn't work. Put it in your notebook and say, okay, when I do this, this works. When I do that, this doesn't work. I try this, I try that. And it's practice, practice, practice. While you have a teacher or a guide or somebody or a coach that's supporting you. So you're practicing, practicing, practicing. And after a while, you build this concept, a word, a nice virtue. You start building it into a life, and then you know how to use it. You know how to deploy empathy when you need it with your kids while also maintaining boundaries, right? You know how to employ courage without taking risks, right? You know how to employ courage without, jumping in front of a bus too early. And it's that skill. So what we do basically at Upend is we teach the skills and teach them in a way that they go from this theory and concept down to like, okay, now I just, like Serena Williams, I can just pull out this racket and I can just do it. And I'll tell you, for me, getting things done, that's an easy skill, right? The warrior archetype, like no problem. At 3:00 in the morning, no problem. Having empathy when something happens, it's learned skill. I'll tell you that, for whatever reason, not natural, either the way I grew up or the way my life turned out or whatever it is, I'm always solve the problem, get it done. And my 11-year-old told me the other day, he was complaining about something at school was difficult. And I was, teaching him something useful. And he said, Dad, can't you see? I don't need a lesson. I need a hug.
Oh, what a sweetie. I have a 10-year-old. So
I'm like, wow.
If my son asked me for a hug, I would be just like, oh, my heart would melt.
That's right. But it's just a reminder that I brought the wrong skill.
Yes.
To the wrong place at the wrong time. And I should have started with empathy and compassion and love and care for 10 minutes just to calm him down so he's okay. And then I can deliver my lecture about that. You got to do this. You got to plan in advance. You got all of that other stuff. Because in the beginning, the lecture wouldn't work.
Yeah. Or maybe another time, like another day. You remember that? Yeah. And then
or
that
not at all.
time. Yeah. Or not at all.
Really smart. These kids are really smart.
Yeah, right. Well, good point. Have him deliver you the lecture of what you needed to learn at that time. Well, I want to hear about your own journey. So where were you raised? Tell me about yourself.
Sure. So I was born in Bosnia, or actually I was born in Yugoslavia. There was a country that Yugoslavia had 6 states, and one of those states was Bosnia, and one was Serbia, one was Croatia. And all of that. And then I came to the States in 1990 as a foreign exchange student. And
how old were you?
I was 17.
Oh, okay.
The goofy little guy in all the movies that's a foreign exchange student. I was that guy. And I went into a really small town. You're kind of luck of the draw. So I went.
Yeah, they could make a movie about you, right?
That's right. In the Ozarks, called Aurora, Missouri. Beautiful town, home of the hound dogs, just kind of quintessential America, right? Is as America as it gets. And it was, I made so many good friends. My host family, actually, still in touch with them after 30 years. My host mom ended up getting divorced. And then many years later, she came to my wedding as a guest. And she met one of my friends and married him.
I love it. How many blessings can you give someone? That's amazing.
But it's reciprocity, right? She treated me like a mother. I was in a faraway land without mom and dad. And then while I was here, the war started in Bosnia. So, the movie
had to stay
with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
When he was a man without a country, I was that guy for like 4 years. Like my papers didn't exist. I wasn't, so luckily I was able to get, whatever legal status. I was a student, right? So that helped. So that I wasn't here illegally for even 1 day. So if my student status had expired, I would have to go home. Luckily, they had a program for refugees and all of that. And
beautiful.
It's been a good investment. I've paid a lot of tax dollars.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Over the years. But then career took me, I trained as an engineer.
What got you interested in that?
Yeah, there was another one that I was just good at math. I was good at building things. but it just ended up going too far away from people and humans and being with people and interacting, and it went too much into technology and all of that. So I pulled back out and found a happy mix with this technology investment banking, where I'm with people. All I do is work with people every day, which I enjoy and love, and I get to bring my technology expertise. And 10 years ago, I would have never guessed that I would be here. So this is why it's so important to pay attention to the signals and to have some peace and quiet in life.
Interesting.
So that we can hear the call of where our skills are better used.
Interesting. And what about law school? What made you want to go to law school?
I just had a shortage of skills. I'm back again to skills. And when I was doing, mergers and acquisitions and deals, and I do a lot in intellectual property, so many people around me were attorneys, and they just knew what they were talking about. And I was always the outsider. And, I was 40 years old. I had 4 kids. And I said, I'm going to go to law school and do this. So while I was in law school, I started a little company. By the time I finished law school, the company ended up with, 40 people.
Oh, that's great.
And that's how we got sold to the big investment bank. But
got it. How many years is law school? 4 years?
3.
Oh, 3 years. Okay. Oh, okay. Wow. So you had so much success. And did you find that you had a lot of letting go so that you could study and then your business started thriving?
Yeah, it was really challenging. That was not a lot of fun. Just bouncing. If I was in any one environment, if I was home with the family, that was fun. If I was at my job, that was fun. If I was at law school, it's fun hanging out with the kids and learning just super cool new stuff. I mean, our Constitution is, when you really study it, it's brilliant. And kind of the whole system of laws is really based on wisdom, right? It's a living, breathing document, right? So we need to continue to add to it and adapt it to current days. But they really thought of everything. They thought of, some populist running off. They thought of, issues of freedom. They thought of a whole variety of things. Now, of course, at that time, they didn't give rights to women and minorities. And, we continue to have this big stain of, how we treated the indigenous people here. But there's movement I think in the right direction over the last few years to talk about these things. And then, to find ways to make amends. And I think we're a country and an idea that has it in itself to really continue to strive for that ideal. Now, if it's moving slower or faster, what did Ruth Bader Ginsburg say? To those who are privileged, equality feels like oppression because they're losing, right?
Wow, that's powerful. I love her.
Yeah.
And so today, how do you inspire win-wins between people, business, and our planet?
Really by going back to the teaching of the ancient wisdoms and insisting on a wiser way to live, right? With families, and I struggle imagine for kids, of course we struggle. We don't always talk to each other all the time. There are struggles, but it's not about the struggle. It's about how you treat each other in the middle of a struggle. And then what do you learn from it and how do you come out? So in my family, with my colleagues at work, in my community, with my friends, how do I bring in these concepts that have been proven to work for tens of thousands of years? And if you just turn to any indigenous culture, they still keep these concepts alive. In the kind of the super tech world that I live in, we've walked away from these concepts. We decided technology is going to solve all our problems. And it's not. It's creating problems. And as I looked for solutions, I looked for, at this guru or this scientific solution or this psychiatric thing or this and that and the other. Something was always short. And part of the problem is some of these great new things, they're just not proven. We don't know if they actually work. But what we do know works is courage, reciprocity, abundance, respect, consent, these basic core virtues, reflection, like that have been tried time and time again, continent after continent, culture after culture, religion after religion. No matter where you look, which religion you dig in deeper and you look at the source documents, maybe not how it's practiced in certain parts of the world, but if you look at the source document where it came from, no matter which religion you look at and where you go, you'll find some of these same learnings which, by the way, come from nature. So that's one of the reasons I spend so much time in nature and fight to preserve, and give right to earth, give a right to a forest to kind of represent itself, if you will, and have a voice through others, so that we don't just come in and we just say, okay, we don't like this forest, we're going to cut it down. We don't like this river, we're going to dam it up. We don't like this, whatever. We need this lithium, we're just going to dig it out of here. And
is
when
that
I learned,
the Earth Law Center you started?
I didn't start it. I'm just a board member. It was been started.
Oh, you're a board member.
Ago.
Beautiful.
But it's we are helping pass constitutional rights for nature, and even in the city of Santa Monica, nature has rights. For example, right? There was a city councilor and a city attorney who basically appointed guardians to speak on behalf of nature in the city. So we need those voices, not that they need to be the only voice, but we need those voices in the room that somebody's representing and saying, hey, is there a different way to do this, right? Do we really need this dam, right? Do we need this? So we need to be engaging in discussion that incorporates all of the stakeholders, right? The indigenous people who are on that river. One of the projects we have is helping one of the tribes on Snake River remove the dams off of Snake River because the salmon is gone. Right, and their whole culture is wrapped into the salmon. It's indistinguishable. And we promised them in a treaty that they can have all the salmon they want. But then we built 4 dams, which killed all the salmon. And not only is salmon a sacred animal to them, it's also part of their upbringing. It's part of rites of passage. It's part of religion and culture and tradition and everything else. And it turns out those dams are not really generating that much electricity. We actually have a surplus of clean energy in that area. So it's not like, it's maybe in a different area, in a different region, it's a different strategy. But for that tribe, for that region, it's kind of Oregon and Washington State, plenty of clean energy to go around there. So
did you already succeed in that, or that's in process?
It's in process. There was one success that I wasn't a part of, but my colleagues and friends used to remove the dams on the Klamath River in California. And it was actually done with Berkshire Hathaway. They own the dams, and state of California and the local tribes, Native American tribes that are
wonderful.
A 4-way deal to bring down these dams and do it. So it can be done, right? And it's a small group of people. There's maybe 100 people in 20 years of work, but they got it done. So now they're an example for the rest of us to say, hey, maybe we can do it here and we can do it here like that.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so amazing. And I love how you're showing the evidence of how much energy it's generating because they're not getting their return on the investment from the dam. So what's the point in blocking all these people? That's amazing. And then, so you get a court order or they get a court order and then the corporation has to comply or they have a certain period of time.
That's one way to do it. In this case with the Klamath River, the lawyer who ran the deal, I had a chance to meet him, brilliant guy here in the Bay Area. He actually engineered the deal, so there was no litigation. So engineered the deal. Berkshire Hathaway is run by Warren Buffett, one of the smartest investors in the world. Right?
Yes.
And so engineered the deal with Warren Buffett and with State of California. State of California passed some bond and contributed $200 million. Warren Buffett gave, or whatever, Berkshire Hathaway gave another $200 million. This is all public. And together, they're going to slowly take down these dams to make sure that, the sand that's up there doesn't hurt the rest of the river and to revive the economy around it and to find replacement sources of power. And you know what? A lot of people worked on this, but this lawyer in particular engineered this solution, kind of a 3-way, 4-way deal. It took a while that avoids litigation. It's all agreement. And a lot of the principles I heard from him as he was talking, I could just check my little secret checkbox of ancient wisdoms. He worked in council with everybody. There's a lot of mutual respect. That trust was built like that. And there was reciprocity. Everybody had to get something. You couldn't just force people to do it. Everybody had to get something out of the deal. And it worked out.
Yeah, that's amazing. I live in Colorado and I used to live in California. I went to UC Santa Barbara and USC, and then I worked in California for a while after. And in Colorado, they have board members that protect the open space. But I find that there's this dichotomy because there's also a lot of digging, for fracking and for oil, like right next to the open space, or, so it's just kind of funny because there's both. Like you think, oh, they really respect wildlife, but not necessarily, behind closed doors, they're making these other deals. So, and it's just interesting.
It is. And as I was looking for solutions there, one solution is just to litigate and sue and only take the warrior archetype. Right. And just say, I'm going to be the warrior. I'm going to fight. I'm going to sue. I'm going to litigate. And sometimes that's necessary, but that's not the only tool in the box. Right. There are other tools. There's a tool of empathy. There's a tool of compassion. There's a tool of understanding that these people who are in these industries, they got families, right? They got investments. They got, so we can't just say, okay, now you just go out of business and you go bankrupt and we win.
Right.
Well, okay. That's one way to do it. But then immediately you're going to turn them into warriors and they're going to start fighting the other way. So is there a smarter way? Is there a wiser way to go about this? And it really is, to me, about education. Why I started the school, at upend.com is we need more people educated in these skills, because then we come up with third solutions. It's not my solution. It's not your solution. It's third and fourth and the 11th solution. But to get to that 11th solution, we need courage. We need trust. We need respect. We need consent, right? That's the one thing we didn't do with indigenous people around the world. We never asked for consent. We just took it.
Yeah.
Right. Wherever. And we just took it and and then you deal with it, right? Give them whatever deal, no matter where you go, South America, Africa, Aboriginal people in Australia. It's pretty much the same attitude, right? We want it. We're taking it and good luck.
Yeah.
Well, that violates the basic principle. And then of course it creates, action creates reaction. On the other side. But if we lock horns, it's just a waste of a lot of energy. I'll tell you, from the legal perspective, you're always better not doing a lawsuit. If you can find a way, and if we can just educate people, that's what I've seen time and time again, right? In business deals of all kinds. It's really, if you can educate and if we can be wise enough to figure out what does the other side really want and how can we create that in this context. Sometimes you can't, right? Sometimes it's like a soccer game or a basketball game last night with the Warriors and Boston, and one's going to win, one's going to lose. Okay, that's fine. In the context of sports, it's a win-lose context. But in the context of business, it doesn't have to be. It can be win-win. Yeah. You can engineer. I don't know how many projects I've engineered where it's a win-win.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Yeah, that's amazing. So last question, what is Zen success to you?
Yeah, it's to me, it's like a wholesome success that I feel content. I feel that I created something, so that part of me came out. I feel I did it in a good way for my body. I didn't abuse my body while I was there. I didn't wear myself out. I did it in a good way with other people. I'm not leaving dead bodies in the wake, right? Where I had to, not pay this guy or do this or not do this or get in a fight with this supplier. But I did it in a good way. Like this, and I've brought people along, right? So there's gain sharing, as success was created, that everybody feels a part of that success, and those are hard to pull off, and that's why I think we need new skills. It turns out these new skills are actually old skills, right? Ancient skills.
Bringing
if we can just remember them, that's why I keep talking about refreshing our memory, because we've been sold a bill of goods that the only way to be successful is this kind of neoliberal growth path, build. And it turns out short term, that's successful. Long term, we have global warming, we have weather problems, we have political issues, I don't know that we've I don't think that we could, if we went to some other planet and justified what we did on Earth, or if we had to go to God, or if we had to go to the Spirit, I don't know that we could go with a clean face and say it's going really well. I don't think it's going really well. And we have the tools to make it go really well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so inspiring. I love that. So it's been such a pleasure getting to know you and learning about Upend and all of your businesses and your journey to these ancient wisdoms and spiritual truths. So I'll put the website about you and Upend in the show notes. Any last words of inspiration? I mean, that was pretty inspiring already. So whatever.
Yeah, it's if there's anything, it's about treating yourself well. Remembering to treat yourself well, because you in your life are the center of that life, and the balance in giving and receiving is really hard, especially for entrepreneurs. We're used to giving, and we give from our body, and we give from our soul, and we give from our heart. And it's important to also know how to receive and ask for help, and take care of your own well-being. And then, as you know, then your family is going to do well. Then your colleagues at work, and your clients, and your vendors, and then everybody. If you approach everybody when you're well, then the world reflects that wellness back to you, and you bring it into the world. So my last invite to your listeners would be to just take care of themselves.
Wow, that is such amazing advice. I love that. And I'm going to take that advice as well. Thank you, Elvir. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed meeting you. And thank you for these wonderful questions. It was perfectly teed up. I couldn't have asked them better myself. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Zen Success. I would love to get your feedback at zensuccesspodcast.com on what topics you'd be most interested in and what Zen success is to you. Thanks for listening.
Opportunity for collaboration.
That can be a rapport building.
It could absolutely be rapport building. One of the other things that women do when we talk with each other, and Zoom is an interesting animal for this because it makes everybody talk face to face. But women, when we're physically present with each other, we tend to stand in front of each other and talk face to face. But if you watch most men talk to other men, they tend to stand more side to side, or they're off kilter. They're not direct face to face. So for women, this face to face conversation is about trust building, and for men, that's threatening. So it's aggression. So they stand a little off to the side with each other. So I make a point when I'm negotiating with men and I'm physically in space with sharing space with men to really talk to them more off to the side.
Off to the side, yeah.
Yeah, versus women, I'll stand more directly in front of. So,
and there's also cultural differences too. Like, eye contact is acceptable in our country, but maybe not in some other countries, like in Asian.
So I find the culture conversation this is going to be a bit controversial.
Okay.
I find it to be a bit of a red herring. So, and the reason why I find it to be a bit of a red herring is absolutely there are differences in the process by which people interact. So in most of Asia, there is a different way of handing somebody a business card. There's a different, people of power sit in different places at the table in different countries. Mm-hmm. Different countries have kind of generally speaking, different patterns of speech, or they have different, a different willingness to engage in broader dialogue and go deep and want to. Some cultures, they do a lot more socializing before business. Other cultures, they do it after business. So there are those kind of cultural differences. But what I've discovered in all my years of negotiating internationally is that really people are people everywhere. And our basics are our basics. And it doesn't matter if I'm in Serbia or Indonesia or Canada or New Orleans, does not matter. People are people everywhere. So there's some procedural things that are different, but I find that if I can create a human connection, then that's really the most important thing, is creating that human connection. And how I do that is slightly different from country to country, but actually the act of creating it is still the most important thing.
Ah, beautifully said. What is Zen success to you?
What is success?
Zen.
Got it. What does Zen success do? Actually, it's so interesting that you asked that question, because if you'd asked me this question, a couple of years ago, I don't think I would have been able to answer it. For me, it used to be about achieving. It used to be about recognition and power and influence, it's like setting a goal and meeting it. Now it's really about finding contentment, being able to and this is an overused phrase, and overwrought in my opinion, but I can't think of anything else, but it's more about being in flow. And the way that I define flow for me is I think about it literally a river. Like that's like the ultimate manifestation for me. It's like, I do have big goals. I have, this ocean of things that I want to be able to do. So the river banks are my boundaries. Those are my no's that I am constantly exploring. In some places I have them more shored up than in others. And the river, the water represents all the yeses in my life that I do. And for me, it's about, occasionally I hit a waterfall. Occasionally I hit a rock outcropping and I get a little battered, bruised. But it's about learning not to swim upstream all the time, to not trying to fight the current anymore, to let go and just let the spiritual kind of take me to where it needs me to go, not where I want to go. So it's more about a collective us and a collective we, and less about me and what I'm trying to achieve.
Wow, that's profound. Well, it's been such a pleasure connecting with you, Christine, and you just shared so much wisdom in this short period of time. It was just powerful. So I think you're going to get a lot of feedback that people tried these negotiation tips and they worked. So I'll put your website and how to buy your book in the show notes. Any last words for our audience?
Just remember that negotiation is a conversation about a relationship, and you cannot win a relationship, but you can get more value out of it.
Beautiful. So remember her company, Venn, VENN, negotiation. All right. Beautiful. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Zen Success. I would love to get your feedback at zensuccesspodcast.com on what topics you'd be most interested in and what Zen success is to you. Thanks for listening.